about tuition and stuff, I can share my screen if you like.
Oh, yes. I'll make you
Okay.
a co-host right now.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. It is so lovely to see you and to be seen. Happy Thursday, everybody. I have to tell you, I just came back from Nebraska to film a student's pre-screen audition video, and I did not expect to fall in love with Lincoln, Nebraska. But boy, oh boy, did I. If I ever decide to move to the burbs, that is top priority. Also, I found, apartments there that in New York would be considered luxury apartments that in Lincoln, Nebraska were like $1,300. And I was like, oh, life is so much more livable.
I've been there once and I kind of liked it. It was very hot though.
Yes, it does get real hot out there. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's how the corn grows.
Yeah.
Um, I am so excited to welcome my guest, Aaron Todd Douglas, who is, correct me if I get this wrong, the head of the BFA undergraduate acting program at the University of Minnesota with the Guthrie Theater. Is all that correct?
That sounds right. It's quite a mouthful. It took me a minute to get it all out in one. And it's University of Minnesota Guthrie Theater BFA Actor Training Program. That's the whole full name. But I've gone through a sort of a rebranding phase where I wanted to shorten it to UMN Guthrie BFA Acting. It's a
Ooh,
little
I
bit
like
more
that.
manageable, right? You
Yeah,
like it?
that's right.
Thank you.
So, Aaron, thank you so much for being here. I would love to know, first of all, sort of your backstory and how you came to the university.
Absolutely. We were chit-chatting before we got started here,
Yeah.
and I talked about living in Chicago for over 20 years. That's where I went after graduate school, met up with a group of folks in grad school, and we decided when we were done, we were going to set our sights on Chicago. We moved to Chicago and started Congo Square Theater Company. I'm an actor. I identify still as an actor, deep in my heart. Acted for many years, freelance and with Congo Square. But as anybody who's ever participated in building and running a theater company knows, you kind of have to wear a lot of hats. And so I started producing as well as all the little stuff, pushing brooms, building sets, running box office. Started producing there and then started teaching at Loyola University. And then I went on to become a full-time faculty member there and was running Arts Infusion Initiative, which was an outreach program working with a bunch of different arts organizations in different medium, dance, writing, acting, all that kind of other stuff. And we went in and out of the Cook County Juvenile Temporary Detention Center.
Oh, that's
It
rad.
was incredible. It was a beautiful experience. I never saw myself doing something like that. Meanwhile, I was still, acting and then
Yeah.
directing and writing and all that stuff. And then moved on to Northwestern and taught there for a number of years. And this job sort of presented itself, and I was at a crossroads, wasn't sure what I wanted to do, if I wanted to jump back and be a full-time freelance actor, or if I wanted to get back into producing. I had been teaching full-time for 10 years at the time.
Right.
And I got this great fellowship at Victory Gardens Theater, one of my theatrical homes that is doing fantastic now under the new leadership of Ken Matt Martin. But before he got there, I was a management fellow, and I had my fingers in the pie of every aspect of the running of the organization. And that kind of set me up when I saw this job posted,
Right.
which felt like a beautiful marrying of my academic pursuits and my creative pursuits.
That's so cool. How long
And
have you been there?
this is my third year. The job was left vacant for a time before I got here. So there was some work to do, and got started. I had all these grand plans and visions and inspirations, and then about 6 months in, we got a global plague. So
Right.
it's taken a while to get back to. We spent a lot of time in reactionary mode.
Right.
It's taken some time to get back to some of those early dreams and ideas and visions I had for this program. And I feel like we're in a good place.
That's great. Um, I imagine that, even during those first, like, 7 or 8 months, especially, of the pandemic, when everyone was just sort of running around with their hair on fire, some of the changes that you would hope to bring, that maybe were not in physical practice, at least like on the back end side, you were still able to begin manifesting.
Absolutely. There were some things that I really dug about the program. I didn't have to come in. It was already in a good place. I didn't have to come in and,
Yeah.
throw elbows around and I'm a new sheriff in town. Didn't have to do all that stuff.
Right.
Don't fix what ain't broke. So it was kind of accentuate the positives
Yeah.
and you work on reducing some of the maybe not so positives. I
Yeah.
won't even say negatives. There's a great faculty. There's a proud tradition, but I think right off the bat, one of the things that was important to me was to really address our amazing reputation as a great training ground for so-called classical
Yeah.
actors. But right away, you're dealt with this whole idea of even the word classical is just it's just embedded in misogyny and white supremacy. So we
Right.
kind of had to deal with that in the changing world, and that was before the world changed this much. I mean, it's been a huge 3 years when you think
Yeah.
about we see you white America and the
Right.
social upheaval that this world is going through. This was even before the Jubilee season happened. Um, and so I felt like we were a little bit ahead of the curve in that way, in a good way. So it was important to me to double down on this idea of we're really good at
Yeah.
training actors in the realm of enduring theater, language rich theater, text based
Yeah.
acting.
Yeah.
And so we just kind of shifted our mindset a little bit to acknowledge all of the many women and BIPOC artists who write language rich materials, who even have enduring materials that didn't quite make it into the definition of so-called classical canon. So it was just a little bit of a mind shift, and I think it was adopted wholeheartedly, top to bottom,
That's
from
great.
students and our community and faculty. And so that wasn't really a dramatic shift. Sometimes you got to get your words right before you start talking. But
Yeah.
other than that, the mental and the heart was always there. So that
That's
was one of the
terrific.
main things that I right off the bat that I wanted to shift our direction a little bit.
So, when I see uh, University of Minnesota Guthrie Theater, um, I am thinking to myself, so are they taking their math and sciences on the campus and then shuffling on over to the Guthrie Theater to take acting classes? Who teaches the acting classes? How does that work? Are they in the shows? Can you explain all that for me?
Yeah. Those are great questions and totally legit. Um, well, first off, I wanted to be known that this program, we invest in the development of holistic artists, people who live in the world. It's not an actor factory by any means. This is a liberal arts degree. We're not even a conservatory, although we are kind of a liberal arts, you know, uh, sheep in conservatory clothing, kind of,
Right.
to just butcher metaphors there. Um, so yes, our actors are getting a well-rounded education. Um, the actor training is done predominantly by our core acting faculty and our amazing group of affiliate instructors. Um, the Guthrie comes into play with a sort of a series of master classes every Monday there at the Guthrie. And that programming runs parallel to their, traditional Bachelor of Fine Arts
Yeah.
classes, where they have a chance to get to know the operations of a major regional theater and feel like they have an artistic home. They have access. They got badges. They can go in there any old time of the day. Um, they get to see all the shows. They get an opportunity to audition for the shows, and get an exemption from classes in their in their third and fourth years. The first 2 years are fundamental to build a foundation. So we try to keep them focused. The second year is very difficult. That's a transitionary year. And then in the third and fourth years, they have an opportunity to act at the Guthrie at their cast and around the city, which our students are prized because everybody knows that they're good, that they're quality, that they're professional.
That's so cool. So there's not that. I mean, obviously they need to check with their advisor and their directors at school to make sure that their schedule works. But there's no like, you cannot do shows that are outside of our department. Blah 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 blah.
Well, we have an exemption process, and we always make a point of saying everyone is sort of adjudicated on its own merits. You have to apply to get an exemption. And
Yeah.
some students, if if you're not doing well, if you're not excelling in your classes,
Right.
then we feel like we are duty bound to say no, we don't approve you doing this show. We can't excuse you from classes when you're barely surviving in your classes as it is.
Yeah.
Um, because again, we're not an actor factory. We're invested in every student in this program getting their degree and finishing strongly.
Yeah.
And if working across town, doing a show outside of the range of that, if that jeopardizes their success, then we feel like we're responsible enough
Oh yeah.
to sit you down and say, no, maybe not now, maybe next semester.
Totally. Um. Uh. So being that we are talking about a liberal arts university that also has borderline conservatory training, if I want to minor because I'm a smart actor in business or in HTML coding or video editing or something like that, am I allowed to minor in something else?
You're encouraged to, my friend.
Yes.
Please do. You can
Great,
double
great.
major. A lot of students double major. A lot of students have minors that are a strange combination on a plate, with theater. But that's great because I think that viva la différence, right?
Right.
We celebrate the differences. We celebrate you finding the other things in life that
Yeah.
not only make you happy but make you money.
Yeah.
Because everybody, I mean, there are people walking around. I mean, people make fun of theater degrees or liberal arts degrees
Yeah.
all the time. But guess who else is driving Uber and bartending?
That's right.
Education majors, business majors, science majors.
That's right.
The world is tough all over.
That's
But
right.
I think what we have is an amazing transferable degree that prepares you to attack anything, to meet life's challenges wherever they are, because you are that well prepared and you know the basics of hard work,
Yes.
of troubleshooting, of analyzing a problem and coming up with effective solutions, of
Yes.
collaboration, of thinking for yourself.
Yeah.
So, I feel really good about this degree. I thought that it was going to be a problem, sort of marrying my own personal ethics with,
Yeah.
I mean, college can be an industrial complex in itself.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
big business. So I
Right.
worry about sending mixed messages, but I feel good about this degree and the preparedness that students have walking out the door.
That is so cool. So on that same note of a student's individual goals while they're in college, are they able to study abroad while they're doing their BFA, or do they have to do like an intercession semester?
They have to study abroad.
What?
They're not only encouraged, they're mandated. Yeah.
Wow.
So fall semester of junior year,
Okay.
everybody studies abroad. And we have amazing relationships in London. We have our own London academic coordinator, an amazing gentleman by the name of Dr. Michael Punter, who is a brilliant writer and theatrician, in addition to being a scholar. And he's our man on the ground. He has relationships all over town. We work closely with the Globe Theater, with Synergy Theater, with Unicorn Theater. So students have an opportunity to learn how, say, they do children's theater in London. Or also we're partnering with another, that's Unicorn. We're partnering with another organization called Synergy Theater, which works with artists that are and or have been incarcerated. And as you
Wow.
know, we have a very different, what do you call it, prison system in the States than they do in other places, particularly in London. And so it's an opportunity for our students to see how that works in other parts of the world. I think I never had the opportunity to study abroad myself. But I think that it is crucial to developing a global perspective
Yes.
and to really understand your place in the world.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really proud that that's a mandatory component, and I think we do a good job. And we're not afraid to continue to revise and refine what we do over there.
Yeah.
It is very much not just Shakespeare. London
Right.
is, some may argue that it is the most avant-garde theater scene in the world. Um, their new plays, their new works are really important. Their modern work is really important, and so it's not just a Shakespeare thing.
That's
It's
so cool.
yeah, it continues every bit of the ideals that we have over on this side of the pond.
If you did study abroad, Aaron, where would you want to go?
You know, I studied with some folks that went to South Africa, and it was so cool. I was in a different space, and my summers were spent working. You know,
Yeah.
I had to make money to contribute to my education, so it wasn't the idea of going abroad, taking a loan out, you know, going in debt. You know, I couldn't do that. It wasn't in the cards for me. I wish I would have found a way, or maybe even entertained a better way of doing that in my
Yeah.
mind. But I think it probably would have been South Africa.
All right. Well, next summer, I'm saying this out loud for the world to hear. You and me, Johannesburg 2022, we're gonna absolutely paint the town red.
I'm
Cheers.
on it. Cheers.
Okay, so students think of the Midwest and the South, especially because I work with a lot of kids who are from DC, kids who are from Los Angeles, the greater tri-state area, Orlando. These are all really safe places
Right.
for LGBTQ kids,
Yeah.
and they think of the rest of Florida and like the Midwest and the South is like I'm not sure about that. Can you talk about LGBTQ inclusivity within the department and the university?
Absolutely. I mean, it's a non-issue, to be honest with you. This is such, the Twin Cities have long been known as a bastion of liberal ideals. I mean, it's also known as a hotbed of conflict and controversy too. But I think
Of
that
course.
those things go hand in hand if you really think about it. Um, it's a vibrant art scene, there's a vibrant music scene, dance scene, as well as it being one of the major theater hubs in town. There's a lot of great theater that happens here between the Children's Theater, Guthrie Theater, Penumbra, Jungle, 10,000 Things. There's a lot of great theater that happens here. So we don't have a lot of hate crimes or anything like that. I think there are thriving LGBTQ groups,
Yeah.
student groups, as well as local organizations. Um, I would say that we're very much, the Twin Cities are very much a part of America.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we all know the whole globe was watching as we were at the epicenter of a whole social
Right.
upheaval, a revolution, if you will. So we're very much a part of these United States, and so that comes with a lot of challenges. Um, but I think it's important to recognize that we're very much a part of change.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we're not in some suburban cornfield. We're in the heart of a major metropolitan city with a number of global communities coming together.
Yes. Right. Sort of on that note, but a different angle on it. If I'm a college student, and let's say that my concerns about inclusivity and safety have been quashed, but I also want to have a great time at college. And I think of Minnesota. I think of cornfields. I think of dairy cows. Can you talk about like what my opportunities are for having a great time as a college student on the campus and in the city?
No, because I am so far removed from partying. I think that kind of conversation is best left amongst young people.
Okay.
But I do know that they get in their fair share of mischief. Um, they go out and they have a good time, like any other college students. There's a lot to get into. Some of our students are into drag, and the other
How
students go and
fun.
support them. And we have some alumni, and even one of our great affiliate faculty members, Annie Enneking. She is a headliner of a rock band, Annie and the Bang Bang. And one of our alumnas, Megan Kreidler, she headlines this other really popular group called Kiss the Tiger. So I mean, there's a lot going on. There's no limit to the things that students get up to. It is not. I haven't even seen a cornfield, to be honest with you. I ain't seen no cows in this state. You know, I don't get out very much around out of the Twin Cities,
Yeah.
to look at the state, but it is a city. It is not a suburban or rural situation here at all.
That's so funny. Okay. Um, I also want to add here regarding like stuff to do. Uh, uh, Minneapolis, I believe, has no has three of the big four sports: the Vikings, the Twins, and the Minnesota Wild.
Yeah.
All of whom had pretty decent records last year.
And the T-Wolves in basketball.
Oh, the Minnesota Timberwolves. It's so funny. I went down a rabbit hole last night. This is so funny. I went down a rabbit hole last night of watching like the all-time great NBA players, because yesterday they announced the first of the top 75
right
players of all time, and I watched a whole like montage about Kevin Garnett, and I forgot how good he was and just what an intimidating person he is.
He was his career was amazing because it started so young.
Yeah.
But he also, his game changed. I mean, he got so criticized for most of his time here, because they wanted him to be inside banging around,
right,
the low post. And
right.
he shot a lot of, he was a great shooter. And then the second half of his career, like when he came to the Celtics, he was much more of an inside banging around defensive, dominator. Yeah. So yeah, he was talk about a great NBA player. My goodness, I love that dude.
Every time I see him dunk on someone, I'm like, you are 19 and a half feet tall. So we talked a minute about like, stuff that will make you money, and being able to see shows at the Guthrie and audition for shows. On that same thread, can students, do they get any kind of like showcase at the end of their senior year, either digitally or in person?
Yeah, we were. So again, just another testament to how much the world has changed in the past just 2.5 years.
Yeah.
When I came in, they were very excited about. They had a local showcase, and then the person who was working at the Guthrie in their partnership leadership role with our program. Came immediately from New York and really wanted to get our actors to New York. And so me coming from Chicago, I was like, bet, let's do New York, Chicago, and the Twin Cities with showcases. But again, the world has changed so dramatically. Last year when we pivoted, actually the year before when we pivoted, we shifted to a digital showcase. And so now we're in a position where we have to figure out what is the best, what serves our students the best. And we find out that they have a much wider reach online, because people from LA, Chicago, New York, Atlanta, all over the country can see them without traveling. We don't have to spend the money to bring them in and put them up. They don't have to spend the money to come in and put themselves up, that kind of thing. So I think the digital showcases are here to stay. I would love it to be able to do that traveling showcase. But the fact is, unless students are determined to post up in that market, it can be a real waste of time to showcase 15, 20 students, and one or two may or may not plan on moving to Chicago. It tends to really annoy the casting professionals in that market,
Yeah, definitely. I've heard that very thing out of the mouths of some agents that I'm friends with, who are like, I have to see theater 6 days a week.
Yeah.
And so like going to a showcase is one more show I have to see. And if they don't plan on coming to my city, oof. So like I think a digital showcase is better for everybody. And like you said, it saves money.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's important to hear, because I think that it's a really sexy thing for young people and their parents in particular. but it's true, and people don't understand that about New York necessarily. Um, I got a lot of friends in New York, and they're like, "Yo, man, I've been cast on staged readings. Like people will come to a stage reading and hire you,
Right,
not just invite you in for an audition.
right.
I've been made offers from staged readings in New York, and I was like, wow, I had no idea it went down like that. But the
Yeah,
casting professionals are hitting the bricks. They're in the streets all the time, and they don't have time to spend on you if you're just kind of flying in from the Twin Cities to
yeah,
do a
right,
little performance and then fly back out. What's the point of that?
right. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the parents' biggest concerns. We've already covered campus safety. Um, Now let's talk about tuition, room, and board. Um,
Is that a big
so,
deal? I don't.
uh, so, um, can you talk to us about twofold? What is tuition, room, and board? And follow up, does the university offer merit or talent based aid to help ease that number?
That's great. Yeah, I got two kids, man, and tuition is it's a bear. They're not in school just yet, but the idea of it kind of, you know, makes parts of me pucker. It's scary. Um,
Yeah,
well, I feel strongly that it is a bad exchange to prey upon the optimism and the ideals of young people and then saddle them with
yeah,
life altering debt.
yeah.
So it's important to me. I like to speak to that. Um, Let me go ahead and share my screen.
Oh, yeah.
I am screen sharing.
Is
Now,
that your fam?
that's my yeah, actually it is. And my messy
Oh,
screen. Well, so what we have here is right off the bat, you can see that 75% of students receive financial
oh,
aid
wow.
or work study funds, and that is true of the students in this program.
Yeah,
We do have in-state reciprocity with Wisconsin, um, North and South Dakota, Iowa, and Manitoba, Canada. I wish we had more relationships. I would love to have Illinois in there. Um,
yeah,
so there's a big difference between the in-state and the non-resident. I mean, we're
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about a $20,000 difference.
Right,
Um, we have need-based as well as merit-based aid.
right.
I try to focus the bulk of my meager scholarship funds to the out of state, but I do make sure that some of our in-state residents get those funds as well. Um, so a lot of people don't quite understand how it works in many colleges where I only have access to a certain pool,
Yeah,
and then there's department funds. So I have program funds and department funds. There's also college funds, the College of Liberal Arts. They have scholarship funds.
yeah,
And also there are university funds beyond that.
yeah.
And we've got great relationships with our friends at the college level. They sometimes will join their efforts to ours. If I express a lot of interest and a lot of support for certain students, they will jump in and piggyback some aid on top of whatever we're trying to give. Um, you can see that it says free, and your eye immediately goes to free.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that means that each semester you pay for 13 credits, but every additional credit after that is free. So that gives you an opportunity to take more credits and get more credits towards your degree out of the way, and also to study some of the things that you want to study outside of the realm of your major or your program.
That's bad. Okay, cool.
And I love that idea. I love that number right in the middle. 43% of bachelor degree students graduate debt free.
Yeah,
And those numbers are very competitive within the Big Ten. You know, I don't think of them as competitors, but
yeah,
that's who our Board of Regents, when they are adjusting tuition rates, that's what they're looking at. They're looking at what they charge at Michigan, Ohio State, and
yeah.
Indiana.
Got it. Okay, cool.
All right, I'm going to stop sharing.
Um, okay. Um, that is so cool. I didn't know that that 43% number I think was just the coolest 43% graduate debt free. That is so
Yeah.
rad. Um,
There are a lot of
you know,
students who work too, who work their entire time here.
yeah,
And we try to support them in that. It is not an easy thing to do. And some semesters are, some years and semesters are easier to balance that than others. But we find that when I mentioned earlier about the second year being the hardest one,
yeah,
that's when the road meets the rubber. You know,
yeah,
that's when students are challenged more in the classroom and they're coming to grips with all their life challenges. It's a big transitional
yeah.
year. And once they're over that hump, they go to London fall semester and they come back spring semester of junior year, and it's all a little bit more downhill from there.
Right. That's
They're able
cool.
to put together all of their lessons, to start to put together all their lessons, synthesize all that knowledge, and really start to make sense of their education, their goals, their abilities, and they can also challenge their weaknesses in their final
Yeah.
3 semesters.
That's so cool. Your language that you use to describe a student's growth sounds so personalized. It sounds like it's such a individually, I don't know, almost like compassionate program that you want each student to get out of it what they want.
I hope so. I feel that way. I'm glad that it comes off because that is exactly how I feel. I mean, whether or not, you know, these young people, they go off and they act for 30 years the rest of their lives,
Yeah,
or if they do a couple of shows and then realize that their true calling is in direction or
yeah,
artistic administration or law or,
yeah,
you know, whatever it is that they do, their time here was well spent.
yeah.
And I want them to understand that. I want them to also know that we support them. You know, we have their backs, but our job is not to solve all of their problems.
Right.
It isn't. And I think that what we're coming across, we have lots of compassion for mental health and well-being. We talk about that. I went out and sought training to be a better ally, but you have to understand when you come to a university, a theater program, an acting program,
Yeah,
our job is not to focus on your mental health, but to train you in this curriculum that you asked for, that you signed up for. Is a mutual thing.
yeah.
And mental health, it very much is a personal thing, you know. When you
Right.
go out there, I won't say the real world because college to me is very much the real world.
I think so too.
But when you step outside of this protected space,
Right.
those employers, they're not protecting you. When you're in the rehearsal room, it is not the director or the stage manager or the producer's job to provide you mental health care or that kind of stuff. That is on the person. You know, it's a very much a personal thing. When I'm talking to my therapist, I
Yeah.
don't make that the student's responsibility. And
Right.
so while we do provide space for it and we have language for it, and hey, call me up. You know,
Yeah.
my phone number is at the bottom of every email I send out. I'm there to talk to you, but I can't go through that fire for you. You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
Oh, totally, totally. I really appreciate that idea of um, I'm here to gain the skills that I need to flourish in the real world, and I have the backing and the support of the faculty while I'm doing that.
Yeah.
I think that is the best combination of things. To like, you do want to learn those tangible skills, um, and you want to learn them very well. And it's your first time away from home, so of course, like an emphasis on mental health and compassion really matters. But having those skills that you can really take into a professional setting is ultimately what's going to help you the most once you're out there. I couldn't agree more.
Well said. Well said.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, we're talking about people who, you know, theater practitioners, theatricians. We
Yeah.
practice empathy for a living. It's our
Yes.
stock in trade.
Yeah.
But there are limits. You know,
Right.
there are limits
Right. Right.
because also, and here's a key point: it is not within our realm of expertise. It's not what we are professionals in. And the first thing, one of the main principles of bioethics is non-malfeasance.
Hmm.
That means do the least amount of harm. And
Right.
if you're running around pretending to be an expert in something that you have no training in, you're setting yourself up for some serious malfeasance. You know,
That's right. That's
do no
why I
harm.
don't teach voice.
Or sing. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm a character actor. They don't hire me to sing. They hire
That's
me because
right.
I'm
That's
funny and I
right.
can hold a tune in a bucket.
I'll sing for you if that's what you really want.
Oh, that's so great. Aaron, I can't thank you enough for hanging out with us. If you're watching this in the replay, don't be afraid to, if you have questions about the training, the curriculum, the campus, the cost, any of that kind of stuff, ask questions here in the comments. I will get back to you with those answers. And if you want more information, Mr. Douglas, what is your email address or contact that people can reach out to you with?
I would say the best way to do this is to go to the University of Minnesota website,
Yep.
go to the theater department. A lot of times people will come directly and they will skip all of these avenues of information and then ask me stuff that's right there on the website, you know. Um, I would love to speak with people and answer pointed questions, but if it's already in there in black and white, then you know.
I'm going to put that website in there. There we go. So that website link is in the chat. Feel free to peruse and find the answers. And if you want more information, you want to reach out to Aaron directly, his contact is right there on the website.
Absolutely. And also I wanted to say that our application process is a twofold. You got to get into the university, which is not a cakewalk to get into, but it's
Right.
not, you know, it's not Harvard. But you have to be, again, admittance to the university and then audition through the Get Accepted app. And so, you know, we have to see your talent. There is an audition process,
Right.
And that's a twofold thing. You got to get to the university as well as gain admittance to the program.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Aaron. I appreciate it so very much.
Thank you, Drew. Been a pleasure talking.